got the whole damn verse spinning around you with open arms. It's a race against time that plunges you deep into the black. What are you gonna do when the void stares back? You'll never stop the revolution. Time to begin your evolution. Take a leap of faith. You gotta break the illusion. You gotta make your own solution. Take a leap of faith. The future's just a void, jump away.
Greetings, everybody. Hello. It has been a little while. I'm Jim. I use he/him pronouns. This is our Dark Matter campaign, Ghosts of Saltmaw. Now is also the time when I check to make sure I turned the audio on for everything, because of course that can be an issue if I do not do that. So I will press that button, and there, I should be able to hear everyone. Okay. Yay. It's been forever. Several forevers. Possibly at least 2 or 3 forevers, especially this year, when months are years. But it is awesome getting back to this. We get to do things in space, and we shall figure out what is happening. Because goodness knows I've forgotten. But let's go around first and say hi to everybody. I am playing Cole Hayden, Human Gunslinger. And now let us go around to Anino. Hello.
Hi everyone, my name's Anino. I use he/him pronouns, and for this game I play Rekmara, the Aviara Druid.
Awesome. And now over to Cazimi. Hello.
Hi, I'm Cazimi. I use she/her pronouns, and for this game, I am playing Klangswell Nuna Fritz Holdbottom Thunderstruck, the space gnome, who uses they/them pronouns.
Awesome. And now let us head over to May. Hello.
Hi everybody, my name is May. I use she/her pronouns. I am playing Lastness Chain Tower. She also uses she/her pronouns.
Excellent. Hello, Mem.
Hello. Hi, I'm Mem. I use she/her pronouns, and I am playing Narita Galeen, the Nautilid Witch, who also uses she/her pronouns.
And now, finally, I shall hand things back over. I have the great pleasure of now being able to hand things over to which I have not been able to do for the last couple of months, to our station master, Alyssa. Hello.
Hello. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Alyssa. My pronouns are she, her, and I play everyone else. So with most games on this channel, we'll be using safety tools such as the X card, the N card, and the O card. If at any point we stumble into territory that crosses a line for anyone and we don't want to have it in the game, you can just put an X in my Zoom chat, make an X symbol, and we stop, rewind, add a dash of retcon, and it never happened. And if you're just freaking out in the moment and you need to say no more fake fireplaces, so be it. If we're kind of towing that line and it's okay to have the fireplace in the game, but you don't want a graphic description, that's where the end comes into play. We'll fade to black, pan to some other part of the landscape, and go from there. And if you are just really getting into character and having some intense role play and you're okay to keep piling on the drama, you can feel free to proactively put an O in chat, or if you're kind of interacting with somebody and you want to check in and make sure you haven't gone too far, you can type an O with a question mark and we'll all respond accordingly. And now, with the housekeeping taken care of, previously on Ghosts of Saltmaw, a group of adventurers came together from far and wide, accepting a mission to investigate rumors of ghostly voices and mysterious malfunctions in the station's unoccupied arcane research facility. They discovered that not only was the wizard's lair infested by psionic rodents who were feeding on the electrical conduits, but it was also haunted by smugglers. In taking down what they assumed would be a small-time smuggling ring, the party commandeered the smuggler ship, the Space Ghost, rescued a kidnapped nautilid named Oceanus, and discovered that there was a secret long buried by the Likshay garrison about an abandoned colony on the brainworm-infested planet of Chiron. Not only had the garrison been lying about no survivors left of the failed colony, but there was a tenuous hold of the surviving lizard folk being threatened by a group of Sahuagin who had recently taken over the lizard's fortress when their world ship crashed there not long before. The crash of the Sahuagin world ship had drawn the attention of the smugglers, who saw it as an opportunity for legitimate salvage, as well as to further exploit the lizard folk population by selling weapons to fight against the Sahuagin. And that was when the party stepped in. They evacuated both the lizard folk and the Sahuagin, who had fallen under the influence of an aboleth which had been disturbed from its slumber by the crash of the ship. And in the process of the evacuation, they salvaged a void crystal from the world ship's dark matter engine, along with the shard of an unknown ally, which was later identified as a piece of the same mysterious obelisk from which Rek'Mara drew his druidic powers. They also discovered a clutch of newly hatched nautilid youngsters among the Sahuagin survivors, drawing speculation that the nautilid and the Sahuagin may have evolved from a common ancestry. That's still highly debated, but there was speculation by some. This theory was neither confirmed nor denied when Captain Oceanus's Captain Azaline of the Nautilid world ship, the Manan, confirmed that the Dagobah was originally a Nautilid vessel, and as such she agreed to foster the orphaned baby fish folk aboard the Manan and to assist any Sahuagin refugees who wished to accept her aid. Most of them, however, decided to fend for themselves, and we have not heard from them since. With the chaos on Chiron apparently abated, the party began looking into the origins of the Space Ghost, finding a tentative connection to a prominent member of the Saltmaw Planetary Council who had risen to power after his rival had gone bankrupt. Before they could make much headway in their investigation, however, gunslinger Cole Hayden convinced the party to accompany him planetside on a quest to avoid confronting his growing feelings for Sergeant Lee Watson of the Likshay Marines. Down on the planet Likshay, they made their way through the Saltmarsh into the drowned forest to acquire a branch from a tree that was used to hang a murderer. They found the fabled tree, complete with an undead spacer hanging from its branches, and met a half-orc druid named Omri, who told them that a group of cultists seemed to be amassing an undead army in the name of a long-dead pirate prince called Sirgol Tamaro. This led the party to accept a mission to assist the local miners' guild in clearing the abandoned research hospital built on an asteroid between the Likshay garrison and the gnomish flotilla of its undead inhabitants. They arrived to find that someone had already done much of the work for them, the bunker littered with the remains of numerous undead husks. Security cameras revealed their unlikely ally to be a half-elf pirate with twin laser swords who'd been left to die when the Likshay garrison chased the Void Princes away from Asteroid Abbey. They introduced themselves as Knife Catcher and confirmed that the pirate nation was indeed planning a wide-scale undead assault, but they were not privy to more information than that. All they were really concerned about was getting revenge for being left to die. The party returned to the ship after clearing out the alley the Abbey, gave Knife Catcher a ride, but when they got on board, they were greeted by a voice of a newly evolved AI core, which introduced itself as under new management. It was only then that the party realized that Narita's Wizmo familiar Ted was not the only thing that had evolved after coming into contact with the obelisk shard before Rekmara had laid claim to it. And they returned to Saltmaw Station to conduct more research. However, when they arrived, they had to help corral a stampeding arachno horse and ferry it to the halfling halfway station for stray space critters known as the Menagerie, where they helped Oceanus locate Captain Azaline's wayward daughter whilst wrangling a school of Nautilid youth on a field trip and thereby securing Oceanus's promotion to full seeker. As they made their way through the alien habitats, Oceanus caught a glimpse of what they thought was a mermaid floating in the void of space and became convinced that the Void Maids were the answer to the Nautilid's quest for a new homeworld. However, Narita seemed reluctant to discuss Nautilid national secrets, and the party returned to Saltmaw once more, where they were met with news of an experimental navigation aid called Jump Dust, which had caused numerous pilots to go off course, winding up in the same area of the galactic frontier. It also caused death in about 1 in 4 users. The party then worked out a reconnaissance mission to find out what was in the area that might be drawing the jump test users toward it, and discovered the wreckage of a state-of-the-art ship called the Emperor of the Way, stranded in the black after an apparent encounter with space sharks. The sharks were nowhere to be seen. The party proceeded to investigate the wreckage to see if anything could be salvaged and if the ship's Vect pilot had survived. Rekmara was drawn toward a small obelisk fragment in the captain's quarters, while Narita kept hearing strange voices and seeing visions from the perspective of someone who had apparently once occupied the ship. Having exterminated the blue screen swarm on the bridge of the Emperor, the party made their way down to the lower deck to deal with the Iron Defenders, aka Robo-Dogs, patrolling the midship corridor. The pilot, Trimaxion, was found in the cargo hold as the various party members worked their way from top to bottom of the ship and met in the middle. And Trimaxion assured them that as long as they were with him, the dogs would not be a threat. Well, Rekmara cast Speak with Constructs and called out to the canines to see for himself. When his call was met with a chorus of requests for playtime, the druid looked around for something to throw. His attention settled on Ted, who transformed his recently acquired mob of Wizmo buddies into a giant bowling ball and rolled down the hallway toward the galley with the Robodogs hot in pursuit. After investigating the empty crew quarters, Fritz discovered a floating carpet in one of the rooms and went to get a closer look, only to be grappled by and rolled up inside the rug. After several attempts to unroll the gnome nigiri or cut loose its contents, Fritz managed to pull off a section of the giant wad of antivirus gum that they'd been chewing since battling the blue screen of death. Once the gum found its way into the carpet fibers, the spell took hold, transforming the rug of smothering into a rug of mothering, and Fritz was able to shrug free. Narita claimed the rug for herself and draped it around her shoulders for the remainder of the mission, where it continued to fuss over her, and the crew made their way to the foreshadowed storage room. There, among the floating contents of an overturned crate of construct parts, stood a life-size statue of a Roth, the skull-faced psionic boogeyman of intergalactic legend. Noting that the statue seemed to be standing in the same pose, wearing the same sort of device on its wrist that Narita had seen in her vision, and that the device itself did not seem to be part of the sculpture, Narita removed the wristband, and the Roth came to life. Rekmara cast Animate Object on some floating construct parts, or he tried, and they began to form into a suit of animated armor, and Narita scrambled to replace the bracelet, only to become grappled by the Roth as chaos broke loose. The party soon found themselves in a three-way standoff as Cole drew his blaster on the Roth, Trimaxion drew on Ko, demanding that the party unhand his dying companion. To everyone's surprise, Lasnus kept cool under pressure and called for parley. while the Roth continued pleading with Narita telepathically to stop the virus and save the verse. Thankfully, the cooler heads prevailed, and Fritz came in clutch with a nat 20 to slap another gob of gum on Max's chassis, suppressing the N virus, which had been steadily corrupting his prime directive. Replacing the bracelet and returning the Roth to its previous state of suspended animation, Max explained that his companion Rhapsodos was a Rothian failure exiled from its hive ship where its perceived imperfections and without a steady supply of psionic energy from humanoid brains was slowly starving to death. He also explained that the Roth somehow knew about the N virus and its origins on High Terra, and had been working with him to write an antivirus code to stop the infection, which Max believed to have been smuggled aboard the ship by an agent of Gelen Primewater, who was a longtime rival of Max's employer, Ulbrich Drellian. When Rhapsodos' condition had begun to deteriorate, Max had put the Roth in stasis to slow the degradation and prolong their life. Though their body appeared to be petrified, Rhapsodos remained fully cognizant. It was their cries of distress that Narita had heard when their respective ships had come into proximity. Once they had suppressed the N virus, Rekmara and Lasnus were able to use lesser restoration to cure Max entirely, along with the Robo-Dogs and the Wizmo Mob, just to be safe. With the virus cured and the negotiations going more smoothly, Rhapsodos' psychic presence seemed to find some peace, and the party made preparations to bring Max and his found family home. And we pick up back on Saltmaw Station. Though there has perhaps been some upheaval amongst the Planetary Council since your return, and certain issues coming to life. So, with that in mind, what has everyone been up to?
Max has been building stuff. Fritz. Max may have been building stuff too. I don't know. But
I don't know.
Fritz
I feel
has
like
been building a ton of stuff.
Max is probably shuttling stuff to and fro because Max is a pilot. Fritz has been building quite a lot of things. I have seen some of them.
Finishing things. You know, Fritz is constantly building things, but is finally getting to the point of getting some of these things put together in a final form. So,
I was hoping that Lasness could assist Fritz with that.
no, Lasness may have been tinkering with the ship some too, although Fritz may show off some of the latest things.
So Fritz has some things to show off. Lasness has been shopping and tinkering. Have there been any particular upgrades made to Unum? Or just lots and lots of playlists created between Lasness and her new best friend?
I wanted to let Marcy go first. I'm sorry.
Okay. Anything else with Fritz?
Yeah, nothing. Fritz hadn't done anything particular with the ship, with the exception of trying to keep an eye out on, making sure that the antivirus that Ted had originally created was still holding for the ship, and that there wasn't any potential leak over of the N virus into Unum or anything like that.
Okay, sounds good. Who's next?
I'm going to say that Rekmara has been doing more obelisk research for the most part, testing his artifact with trying to determine the extent of its powers, also trying to locate additional shards, as well as where the core obelisk might be.
As you have been testing out the range of your awareness with that. I will say that you have been getting some sort of fractal, fragmented visions of perhaps where some other pieces might be, but it's kind of like looking into a broken mirror. It's kind of hard to get a full picture, and you're not sure whether it's because of distance or if there is some other type of interference. You also get the sense that you might not be the only person who is looking. Whether that is because there are other druids of your order that are attuned to other fragments, or if someone is spying on you in particular, it's hard to say.
Well, that's unfortunate for them if I ever find them.
Are you going to look for them?
I suppose that upon the realization of that, he would try to ping or reflect any signals to anyone who might be reaching out through the shards. See if it's anybody in his order who might be getting a little too nosy for their own good.
Okay. After you sort of push back a little bit, that sense kind of goes quiet. So you kind of get the sense that they know that you know that they know.
That's fair. And I'm pretty sure they're just going to try to come up against me at some point when I least expect it. So we are going to have to keep our beak on a swivel.
Okay. Narita.
Narita's been hanging out at the whirl ship with the other Nautilids, in particular taking the rug of mothering to visit the orphaned baby Nautilids.
Yes. The rug is absolutely in seventh heaven. It just like swaddles up those little babies and just wants to hear all about their day and if they're making friends, and it's so proud of everyone.
But she's also been trying to discreetly make inquiries around the ship, although she's not really getting a lot of intel since she's not part of their community as much. So she's been kind of going and also trying to keep an eye on Oceanus.
Yes. Well, Oceanus, I'm sure, would be quite excited, and most likely every time you check in, they inquire about whether or not you've gone looking for the void mermaids yet.
The answer hasn't changed.
No, it has not, and yet they are not discouraged.
What a gem.
And Cole, when you return to your apartment on the station, there is a gift waiting for you, a package from Sergeant Lee Watson waiting for you at your residence. Inside the package is a gold flask engraved with sort of like a hammer and nails and like a filigree, like rose, thorny vine motif, and a word in Aquan, which, if you find somebody to translate it for you, roughly translates as spike.
Cole is just probably when he gets this thing, he's just going to sit and stare at it for about 10 to 20 minutes. Because he's just sort of like thinking about several things.
Yes.
Is just kind of he's a little overwhelmed. He was not expecting this.
There's also a note from Lee that says that it was a little something they found while they were cleaning out the former wizard's lair, and it seemed like something you might appreciate.
And he does. He's just sort of he's a little bit. He sort of sits there and he realizes, kind of probably after a few minutes, that he's kind of after he's trying to figure out why he's staring at the mug. He kind of realizes that he's fending off a kind of a thing that he's not used to, which is a bit of a panic attack.
Oh.
So he's like, he just sort of sits there calmly, and he closes his eyes, and then he reopens them, and he's realizing there's he has to think for a while. So he's what he's going to do is he's going to send Lee a message. That mostly it's just basically like a thanks, this is great. But we'll actually, and he's not ghosting her. I need to say this up front, but yeah. He's just sort of looking at he's basically just sort of now kind of like playing through a number of things in his head.
Yes.
And he's probably taking the path of least resistance, going to head toward what he usually heads toward, which is he's going to start working for a little while, while the back of his head works on the problem. He will put the mug in a nice place in the apartment where he can see it.
You do notice as you are carrying this flask and moving it around to find a place for it and setting it aside, it does slosh a bit, as if there might be some liquid inside.
So yeah, it's as he's reaching up to put it like on top of like a kitchen counter thing. Is like, okay, well maybe I can put it as like a centerpiece or something with his little tiny kitchenette counter. And he's going to turn. It's going to, like, does it have a lid, or is it a?
Yeah, it's got kind of like a screw lid or pop top.
It's going to slowly, just kind of cautiously, he's going to hold it a little bit at arm's length and open it.
Okay, as you open the flask, a water droplet, or a droplet of liquid. It's not water. In fact, it smells more like whiskey. Levitates out of the flask and sort of expands a little. It's kind of just a little amorphous floating blob of whiskey. And it kind of burbles at you, not in a language not unlike Narita's and Oceanus, and in fact, Ted, when he bubbles inside of his little fishbowl head.
He's going to very cautiously pick the mug back up, See if he can raise it up and put the glob back in. Raise it up to where the glob is and put the lid back on.
Just for fun, go ahead and make a dexterity check.
Okay.
We all get pets. Cole gets sentient alcohol.
I mean, it's kind of appropriate. I got an 18.
Okay. You're struggling a little because as you attempt to catch it inside of the flask again, it sort of splits and sort of just it's trying to evade you a little bit.
Oh no.
It just sort of like splits and reforms. It's like liquid at 0G.
Okay, it's not multiplying then.
No, it's not.
Oh,
it's
thank
just,
goodness. Okay.
No.
It's death by sentient
if you ever
alcohol.
saw Treasure Planet, with that little amorphous shape-shifting thing, it's kind of like that, except it doesn't take any other shapes except floating liquid.
So it's like I don't understand. Oh hell. Okay. So Cole is going to. I actually never figured out what third additional language, well, fourth language Cole speaks, because he actually has, like, besides Common, he has Orcish and Goblin, and one other that I never specified. It's not going to be Nautilid, but I've been trying to figure out what would be best for the setting, but there's still that slot in there.
Okay.
It should be Esperanto.
Yeah, that should be. Yeah, as Red Dwarf has predicted, that is going to be the language everyone's using in the future.
Nautilids are not the only people who speak Aquan.
That's true. But I never sat down and did the work to figure out who the who the next common thing would be. I almost wanted to go with something like Amoeboid or something, or just something that was like common for, or that would be common for like the station. But who knows? Who indeed knows? But anyway, oh, look at that.
Let me know if that link works or if I need to resend it.
Oh, the link worked.
Oh,
I
good.
can see it now. That's very cool.
There, you have a stat block for your little friend.
That's awesome. So
as you spend some time attempting to corral it again, perhaps you figure out what it can do.
Ah, okay.
You may, through experimentation, or, or if you panic text Lee.
Well, there will be a
Or
thing
not.
where there'll be a few moments where he's going to hesitate, and then he's going to call Narita if she's available.
That's fair.
Yeah. Although if she's with the Whirl ship, isn't that like over at Chiron, or is that?
If she's at the Whirl ship, it has probably come back to the station for resupply.
Okay, all right, cool. So he's just going to call her, just see if she's available.
Yes,
For
and
a second,
speaking of the Whirl
just to
ship,
talk for a second.
Narita, you have probably learned that they have sent some heavily armored and extremely cautious away teams down to the surface to start taking readings, and they have noticed there are still a few worm walkers and stuff wandering in a particular direction.
Oh, a particular direction. Okay.
And then you get a panicked message from Cole.
Okay, call me when you have a sec. It says.
All right. I'll dial you up on the data pad, whatever it is, comms something. Cole?
Hey,
Cole?
hey, can you listen to something for me real quick? I need to find out what it's saying.
Sure.
I'm just gonna hold it up near the where it's where the speaking is coming from.
So, Narita, you do hear some bubbling and extremely basic Aquan that might sound like the word spike. Specifically, the verb to spike, as in to add alcohol to something.
Oh. Can it hear me?
Maybe. Would you like to talk to it?
Yes.
Okay. What do you say?
I've got my comm open right near it, so it'll probably hear you.
What are we spiking?
Spiking? Well. Okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. It's a thing made of alcohol.
Oh. Well, that sounds fun.
And then you notice it just kind of keeps saying its name over and over again.
Oh.
So it's supposed to go with something else. Like I add it to something else, and that like spikes it.
That sounds fancy.
So it's like a spiked drink. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, that is the context.
No, that's kind of the conversation's like. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good. That's. No, just it's just something somebody sent me.
Somebody.
Thanks. Yeah.
Somebody? Who sent it?
Thanks, Narita. Click.
And she starts calling back. Cole? Cole? Who sent it, Cole?
It's going to go to voicemail.
I'm sort of wondering at what point Narita gives up and starts calling Lee instead.
Oh, God.
Do you want that to happen? Because that could happen.
Good. If you want, you can do that.
I mean, it's up to you. It just hasn't happened yet, and I'm curious if it will.
Oh, not yet. Not yet.
Okay. So, Cole, now you have a vague idea of what this little tiny elemental will do.
Yeah. And it's probably after that for a little while I experiment with like glasses of water and stuff like that. And
okay. Yes, if you pour it into another liquid, it spikes it. It becomes alcoholic. If you add you notice if there are like pieces of fruit or little like a spoon, it can pick those things up and utilize them, and then those things become incorporated into its substance, and then you can pour the beverage into a glass, and the elemental will separate, and the cocktail remains.
I just have been looking at it, watching it do it, and I'm just like, there's a point where he's just like, my God, it's a pocket bartender.
Yes,
Lee,
because
my liver is not going to survive this.
Old rich wizards, eccentric wizards do strange things.
Yeah. And so after a while, sort of after he kind of figures it out, he will actually find he will not be using it as an ornament. Therefore, he will probably be it will probably be accompanying him when he travels.
Right. See, Lee has engaged with your emotions and also given you an antidote.
I know she's very just like, oh, she knows me too well. She knows me too well.
And also she may be getting some perverse enjoyment out of imagining you figuring out what to do with this thing.
There, yeah, that sounds like her. He's just gonna be like, okay. Wow. Okay. God. He's going to take the mug. He's going to actually, for a little while, he turns it away so that it doesn't seem, so that he feels as though it's not looking at him. Whether that's true or not doesn't matter. It's more so he can't see the face of it. And
Yeah.
then he's going to, he's going to bury himself in a couple of other things for a little while. He's going to recontact
You do
Dr. Wu
eventually
and
get
ask
it
for...
to go back inside its flask.
Yeah. It'll eventually get bored and go back. That's awesome.
It goes back in. You can cap it up, put it in a pocket, what have you.
Cool. One thing he does want to do is he wants to make sure he's recontacted the it was the amoeboid sent that hired them that he got to hire them to foot the bill for the trip,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I know we already got paid. I seem to remember we took care of that possibly, unless we didn't, in which case I've forgotten that we didn't do that.
You will have gotten paid either when you got close enough to the station to relay the message, or when you returned.
Yeah, but so we'll probably. So yeah, basically we just we delivered all that information. One thing I did want to follow up on that's kind of a bit of a side thing, and I kind of wanted to, was that he also wanted to make sure he provided Dr. Wu with the information we promised them we'd provide about what was going on, and that's actually probably going to be a bit of an odd conversation because we're still not completely sure what it was, but actually Cole has a suspicion about what it was.
Okay.
Because it wasn't like fully confirmed. We found a piece of we found a shard out there, right? That Rek Mara picked up.
Yes, he did pick up a shard out there.
Yeah.
He swiped it from Trimaxian's cabin.
So I am actually.
I object to calling this theft. Okay.
Should we really get into an objection about words?
All right, he salvaged it from Trimaxian's
Thank you.
cabin. At the time, we did not know that Trimaxian was on board. It just hasn't been discussed.
But I do want to talk to Dr. Wu about that, though, because I think that has something to do with the reason why the drugs were pulling them. I think that there's some sort of weird connection thing going on, along with everything else. And I also want to talk to Dr. Wu about the possibility of figuring out if there's another way to feed Rhapsodos.
Okay.
Because that is a problem. I believe that's part of the reason Trimaxian agreed to come with us in the first place. So we're just wanting to make sure our debts are paid here, basically.
Okay. That raises another good question. What have we done with Rhapsodos in the interim?
Does anyone need a coat rack? No.
Yeah, I think Fritz has made sure that there is some nice secure place in the ship's hold.
And Fritz also does
can keep a
own a
close eye on.
storage locker somewhere.
Yeah, but someplace that is not like completely hidden and not going to be seen at all. Like Fritz is going to be checking to make sure nothing wonky is happening.
Sure. One of those little secret cabins in one of the cabins.
Yeah, one of the many secret cabins
We may
Fritz
have
has managed to.
extra smugglers' holds added to the ship that people may or may not know about.
Yep.
Couldn't we just attach him to be at the bow of the ship? Just like
Like the figurehead.
like an ornament, like the figurehead.
Oh my god.
I I mean, I suppose you would.
Who's going to mess with the ship with the Rothian?
Don't
figure?
hit any debris.
Oh my god.
It's just a suggestion.
Yeah, if Rekmaran wants to go out there and weld him on, he's welcome to. Fritz isn't touching it.
Please, it's going to be sort of the group chat. Please don't weld our passenger to the helm, to the hull. Please don't do that. I'm also going to through group chat. I'm going to let them know that I'm going to be consulting Dr. Wu about the possibility of the feeding situation, basically, to see if there's anything we can come up with before we just sort of let him sit there.
Do they eat brainworms?
We don't
Yes,
know.
maybe. I don't know. It's like would that have the opposite effect though? I'm not sure.
There's only one real way to find out.
Go to
Let me-
Chiron. Go to Chiron.
Can I at least ask? Can I at least consult a doctor first, real quick, just in case, because they might actually have some idea.
I suppose.
Again, I take offense to that, being the ship's resident caretaker and physician.
Speaking of, I've asked you for a headache medication almost a full cycle ago.
Yes, well, you didn't fill out your proper claim.
You told me that the first 7 times.
I did, but looking at this claim, you're obviously missing the correct forms. This is the 32-B form, whereas you had filed the 32-C73.
But you
Obviously.
Oh, fine. Give me the new form. I'll fill it out. How many times this time? In triplicate?
Yes, please, and be sure to call up the proper procedure codes this time. They've revised them.
Okay,
within the
but
past
what kind of notary do we want? I can get a North-style notary if you need.
Ever since the Druids developed an HMO plan, it's all just been insane.
Lasness, would you like to call your employer?
I have to fill out an RIR, otherwise known as a reportable incident report, and I'm not lying about that. That is actually something that Maitland has to do.
Actually, were there changes to your coverage plan? Because I'm not even sure if the Druids of the Obelisk are going to accept the Order of the Sepulchre anymore.
Oh, come on. You're the last game in town.
A game indeed.
I'm sorry, but we might. I think we're out of network at this point.
Lasness.
You can still use your HSA plan if you wanted to cover the cost.
If you don't want to have to deal with the Druids' bullshit, you could just go see Dr. Wu.
Yes,
The same way that Cole is.
But
I
yeah,
don't know what's happening anymore.
I think I'll follow Plan C, Cole's plan. But for everything that lay on hands can't cure.
I mean, it's always, there's nothing that prevents you from getting a second opinion. That's all I'm saying. We still have faith in our primary, but good Lord. I'm going to go see Dr. Wu. I'm going to let folks know when I'm going to do it so that if anyone wants to tag along, but it's entirely up to however they want to do it. Because this is just about our passenger.
All right.
So it's whoever cares about that, basically.
All right.
I think Lasness would be pretty busy spending her time trying to install a new motor into the engine. It's called the Super Colossal Robust Acceleration Motor. You can also know it as the scramjet.
Did you file the proper forms with your chief engineer?
Yes, those I know how to fill out very, very well. Actually, I got 3 badges. 3 on that.
Ted looks dubious. And would like to remind you of the last time he tried to install things in the ship without asking Fritz first.
Well, we agreed that the playlist in the engine room is mine, and if that's mine, then also I can work with the engine.
Fritz has absolutely no problem with Lasness fooling around with whatever she wants to, as long as Fritz gets paid in a timely fashion when they have to fix it on the fly in the middle of some emergency situation. So just saying, rates do go up.
Only if you fill out the appropriate forms.
We are so mercenary.
Yes.
Fritz slides into their new battle armor, clicks out the blaster, spins the dial to fire, and flames out a couple of forms and says, "Filled them out for you." Click, puts the blaster away.
Make sure to file them in the appropriate place. Dumb.
There you go. Well, we are at about the halfway mark, so shall we take a brief break and then come back to the interview with Dr. Wu?
Sounds good to me.
I'm good with that. Sure.
Work.
I don't know what's happening anymore. Oh god. Okay. All right. Awesome. No. Very cool. Very cool. We shall be back in a little bit. I'm going to throw an interview on, and then we will be back afterward. See you shortly. Welcome to the break. Today I have James Introcaso with us, writer and game designer. Hello.
Hello. It's lovely to be here, Jim. Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
Oh, thank you so much for coming and chatting. I wanted to talk first of all is let folks kind of get a sense of for folks who may not be familiar. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, just to start off with, and then we'll kind of get into history of things.
Sure, yeah. So my name is James Introcaso. I have been a game designer now for, I guess about 7 years. Started blogging and that kind of thing, and slowly made my way into doing this full time. And as of February 2021, I will be taking a full-time employee position with MCDM, which is Matt Colville's production company. So that's me, and that's who I am. I've worked on a bunch of different things that you can find on Drive-Thru RPG and the DMs Guild and in bookstores and things like that.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, how did you get into RPGs in the first place?
It's a great question. So I got into playing them when I was 10, and like very prototypical older brother introduced me, friends, yada, yada, right? And then kept playing. And then much later in life, I was playing a lot, and the D&D Next playtest was out, and I wanted to know a lot about what was going on. And at that time, there wasn't a ton of D&D news. There wasn't a ton of RPG news, and so I was hungry for it, and I wanted more podcasts about it because that's how I was getting a lot of my news that time. And I wrote to a guy named Jeff Greiner and said, hey, there isn't a podcast like this. I want to make one. Do you have any advice? Jeff Greiner ran this podcast called The Tome Show. Still does. It's a great, amazing podcast, been running for years. And he said, that sounds like a great podcast. Here's some advice. And do you want to come do it with me? On my feed, which already has thousands of subscribers and stuff. And that was very kind of him. And I said, yes, absolutely. And so when I started doing that, I thought I should have another thing to push people to. And I've always wanted to design. I had submitted to like Dungeon and Dragon magazine and gotten rejected a couple times. But I was like, how do I do this? So I started a blog called World Builder Blog, which I still update, worldbuilderblog.com. And I started to put out homebrew stuff on there, the things that I was making for my world. And people started to show up. And then through that, I started to get jobs, right? Like I started to put stuff that was on my blog on the DMs Guild when it came out. And through that, the Adventurers League found me. And through that, Chris Perkins found me. And I started to work on Dragon Heist and so on and so forth. And I also started to apply for things that I saw once I built up my confidence in my resume a little bit. And so that's how I got to here, was a lot of like probably about 2 years of blogging for free, and then putting things out there myself, self-publishing, and then through that self-publishing, getting jobs with other publishers.
That is awesome. That is very cool. I got to tell you that something that I guess surprised me a little bit, though it shouldn't have, is that the way that you got into podcasting initially, or your interest in podcasting, is almost exactly also the way that I got into podcasting.
That's awesome.
It wasn't Jeff specifically, although I do know him. But it was very much I was wanting to find out about D&D Next, they were calling it at the time, what became 4th edition. And I went and looked for the podcast, and finally, and I was like, okay, I'll listen to this podcast. And then it was just sort of like this avalanche where I was like, I must have more RPG podcasts. I must find more.
Yeah, it really was not that long ago, at least in my brain, right? Probably to someone younger, they're like, what are you talking about? But that there weren't that many RPG podcasts, and including actual plays and informational interviews. There were not that many. And so at the time it was like, yeah, people were hungry. And now it feels like every week there's a new interview show. There is a new actual play, something that someone is doing that they want you to check out.
Yeah, I mean, I look around at the stuff that's available now, and I have to ask myself, how did I ever have trouble trying to convince people that you could actually be entertained watching or listening to people play RPGs? Because no one would freaking believe me back in the day.
I know. And right, we often give a lot of credit to Critical Role and the Adventure Zone, which they very much deserve. But there's also all of these podcasts that really blew up in the beginning and helped people find stuff. I think about One Shot a lot. Really helped people discover that there were games outside of D&D that could be really, really good actual plays. And things like Dimension 20 is really growing. And so there's a lot out there now. And you can find something, I feel like, that's going to fit your taste no matter what, even if it's not a giant name like Critical Role or the Adventure Zone.
Absolutely. So if there is like anything else that what you're doing, actually, can you tell us a little bit? But can you tell us a little bit about what you're getting ready to do with MCDM, or how you got involved with them?
Totally, yeah. So MCDM I saw an open call for writers that they had for working on a book called The Player's Guide to Capital. And it said, like, hey, if you're experienced in writing stuff for 5th edition, let us know. And also, we'd like you to know a little bit about Matt Colville's World of Orden. And I did not know much about the World of Orden, but I had contributed at that point to 7 hardcover books, and I had a bunch of bestsellers on the guild, and I had written a bunch of other 5e things for drive-through and that sort of thing. So I applied, and I said in my cover letter, like, hey, I don't know the world, right? I was honest, and I said, but you have all this stuff on YouTube. You have a huge wiki. I'm going to start checking it out now. If you're interested in me, let me know. And then I started to check out the stuff, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is all really good stuff. I can see why people like this. And I didn't hear back for months. And then I thought, well, they must have gone with somebody else, right? And I did probably, I want to say like 6 months later, they said, sorry for the delay. We were reading a writing sample from every single person who applied. are you still interested? Do you want to do this? And I said, yeah. And so through that, we started our working relationship together. Then they said, do you want to come work on Kingdoms and Warfare, which is the book that we're working on right now? And I said, yes. And then through that, they said, hey, we're looking for somebody to have a line developer position here, someone who will write for us, but will also work with other RPG writers to create content. Is that something you're interested in doing? And I said, yeah. And we negotiated and hammered out a deal and everything. And so now I'm gonna be with them full time, and I am with them, freelancing part time until I'm full time with them.
Awesome. Well, that sounds wonderful. But in the meantime, if folks want to find you online, where should they go?
So they should head on over to Twitter, where I am James Introcaso, INTROCASO. And they can head on over to my website, worldbuilderblog.com, where I will often talk about what I'm doing or give some advice or that kind of thing.
Awesome. Well, I'm now going to toss things back over to me. As the break concludes, or at least goes to a sort of little thing of moving pictures while we're running around backstage panicking. But in the meantime, talk to you later. Thank you very much. Take it away, Jim. Yes, future me. Let's see what you've got going on right now. Or in a minute or two. We'll see. Right, sure. We have returned, and Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello. And so, what are we doing?
I believe Cole was going to see Dr. Wu. Is anyone
Yes.
going along?
Fritz is going to stay back at the ship, as usual.
Okay.
Rakmara will actually go.
Okay.
Blacksmith will go.
All right.
And Narita will be at the world ship doing stuff, being nosy.
Okay.
Excellent. Cool. Yeah. And this is, like I said, this is just mostly, more information gathering than anything else. But now I'm trying, does anyone remember what it was that we promised to, first of all, what it was we were promising to bring back information-wise for the doctor? Was it mostly just about anything we find out about the effects of the drugs, or was there anything else that we needed to take care of?
Now, that was my understanding since they didn't know what was out there, so.
Yeah, it was mostly for recon.
Okay. Cool. All right. So yeah. Basically, so it probably sent Dr. Wu just a message with some of the same stuff, whatever we sent when we reported back into the what is the name of the I see that our Who's Who sheet has been updated, which I'm very grateful for, but now I don't know where anything is. So what was the name of the was it an amoeboid that we were working with?
Yes. The amoeboid mod keeper is Iota.
Iota, okay. So yeah, basically, so it probably sent Dr. Wu the same information that we sent Iota, but also with sort of the thing that we're going to want to follow up,
Yes.
because there's additional stuff, and so when I basically. So yeah. Well, when we head there, are we able to get in, or is there?
Yes. You can arrange for a meeting with Dr. Wu. She will fit you in.
Cool. All right.
And in fact, she's quite happy to follow up as well.
Cool. All right. Can you remind us what species Dr. Wu is? I know that there was a...
Dr. Wu is a blue dragonborn.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Well, just kind of so we sort of come in flanked by come in with Rekmara and Lasnus, I think, and so just sort of is kind of wondering, hey, afternoon. There were some things that we wanted to go over.
Yes, of course.
As far as just so we can get it out of the way, was there anything? Were there any? We're not sure what exactly was the connection with the drug was to it, but we believe that. And I just sort of I've got kind of. When I say this next thing, I kind of have my in sort of the corner of my eye, I'm keeping sort of an eye on Rekmara when I'm saying this. I believe that there was an object in particular that they were attracted to that has some kind of cosmic thing going on. It's not there anymore. But I don't know if the drugs were tapping into that somehow.
May I ask where the item is now?
And I just sort of glance over at Rekmara. Do we know where the item is now?
Rekmara is just going to shrug and lift the shard that he keeps hidden underneath his tunic and shows it.
I see.
Rekmaran knows far more about that thing than I do, so if you have any questions there, don't know as whether or not whether or not I don't know what Rekmaran is at liberty to say, because there's druid business involved, from what I understand, but. Yeah.
That's interesting, because most of the pilots were not druidic, that I'm aware. There are some druidic pilots that I know of, but the subjects of the jumped dust trials were from all walks of life. And some interesting information has come to light in your absence, as I was able to examine some of them who did not suffer fatal side effects. And several of them were infected with some sort of virus that affected the brain. So that, well, being drawn to artifacts is not unheard of, and certainly a possibility. This may also be a possible connection.
Okay. So there's another thing that we're trying to figure out kind of how to handle right now that might be connected to that. Doc, I'd like to. I would like to think we can rely on sort of confidentiality here. Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. So I'm just gonna say it. We have a Roth. We found them out there. They're actually in stasis right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're actually trying to they're trying to not hurt anyone. We've had some contact with the Roth's partner, who was out there as well. Their partner is a Vect. Is that right? Was the Trimaxian's a Vect? Okay.
That is correct.
Okay.
That would make a certain amount of sense.
And so we're trying to figure out if there is some way that they can feed themselves without necessarily having to destroy anyone's minds.
Interesting.
If there's some way that there's a way to generate psionic energy, something like that, that I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to work with the Roth or species like them before, but I was hoping you might have some ideas.
I can't say that I have worked with the Roth, since encounters with them are few and far between these days. However, I am aware of the matter on Chiron. and have studied various other psionic species. So it would be quite fascinating to research. And after everything that happened on Chiron, it is a matter very close to me, as I suppose you can imagine.
Yeah. You think there's... I know this is just sort of bouncing things off the wall here, but you don't suppose there's any kind of connection with, well...
The Roth and the planet?
Well, not necessarily this one in particular. Well, maybe, but there's... Well, okay, look. You were talking about... we were talking about the situation with the pilots and the pilots setting out there.
Yes.
And them having that condition with their minds, right?
Yes.
First off, I was wondering if the if you think that the Roth was inactive for that time. They're in, like I said, in stasis right now. They're effectively a statue right now.
Yes.
But do you think that they would still have some effect there?
It is possible if the mind is still aware while the body is in stasis. It's possible some psionic energy could extend outward. And if this virus, which has caused the jump dust test pilots to go into their fugue state, extends their own psionic abilities, perhaps there was some sort of connection. But again, I'm speculating at this point,
Right.
because it would need further study.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's that, and then this is also actually because we've been talking about, since we also brought up Chiron, that I'm worried if there are... Do you happen to know, and I just want to make sure here, are they still doing trials, or have they...
I believe the trials have been suspended
Okay.
pending investigation.
Oh, that's good, because I knowing the situation on Chiron, that's somewhere also relatively not terribly far away, where there has been rather a lot of psionic activity, from as well,
Indeed.
you know. So I'm now actually wondering if there's going to be some kind of, if there might be some kind of effect there if they start trying to do something with that.
That does cause some concern as well. I can't help but wonder if that might have something to do with why Chiron has been such a point of interest lately after having been abandoned. If I could examine more pilots and find out what exactly this virus affects in the brain, without the jump dust, perhaps I would have a better idea.
Okay. All right. So just so I'm clear, that she just said if she wanted to examine pilots who have not taken the jump dust but that have the virus, is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Guess you can always put out feelers or something. Like an ad or something.
And I can't guarantee it's only pilots that have the virus.
Right.
Viruses are not selective, but it seemed to be pilots with the virus that were being drawn in their fugue state to those coordinates on the galactic frontier. And if the creature which was calling them is no longer there, that reduces the likelihood of pilots being lost in space. However, there's still the matter of this virus and what it does.
Yeah, there were like a couple of viruses that we ran across. Well, okay, and I don't know the nuts and bolts of all this, right? But there was a virus that was affecting their computer system, so there was a computer virus as well.
You're referring to the N virus.
Yeah, and but the way that it's just something about the way that Trimaxian talked about it made me almost think like it was more than that. But it's I like I said, I don't really understand so much that stuff.
As far as I know, the N virus does not affect organic creatures, as far as I know.
Okay.
However, this virus that affects the jump dust is a psionic virus, so it could affect anyone.
I would just thinking about this.
It can be diagnosed and treated, however.
I'm going to turn to Rick Moran Lesness and just said, how would we feel about having somebody having her examine Rhapsodos?
Shouldn't that would be a question that Rhapsodos should answer?
Well, the problem is if we make it so that Rhapsodos can answer, then it's going to be a very perfunctory conversation.
May I ask
I
were communicating with the Roth previously?
Well, we weren't exactly. We were talking to Trimaxian, to their partner. Well, actually, wait a minute.
Just made a connection.
Well, and then Cole stops for a second. He says, "Actually, no. Wait a minute." Can you hang on just a second? I got to make a call. Cole is going to go into the next room. He's going to call Narita.
Narita, Cole has finally called you back.
Tell me about Spike.
What?
Who sent Spike?
Oh, that's no. It's just that was Lee. But no, listen. There's something that there's something I wanted to ask you about because we're talking to Wu right now. Apparently there is a psychic virus that has been going around. In particular, the pilots were infected. Some of them that we're heading out there on the jump dust, and we've sort of started putting two and two together, and we think there's a possibility that that Rhapsodos might potentially be a cause of it, maybe, but we're not sure. We haven't ruled it out yet, and we were trying to figure out, if Rhapsodos could communicate mentally while still stone, and I just kind of realized that was in fact happening, right?
Yes? Question mark? Yes?
So I'm wondering if maybe you'd be willing to talk to Dr. Wu about that.
Sure.
Okay, great. Do you want me to just put you on, put you on here just to talk over the comms, or yeah?
Sure.
Okay, all right. And so I'm going to head back into the other room.
Okay.
I'm going to pull up the Narita hologram.
On speakerphone.
Put it on speakerphone.
Everyone, hello. Cole's girlfriend sent him a gift. It's very lovely.
That's not what this meeting's about, but yes, I got a thing. But we can talk about that later.
Okay, yes.
Wonderful. It's a pleasure to meet you, Narita. My name is Dr. Sora Wu.
Nice to meet you as well.
How are you feeling?
Fine.
Excellent. Cole has been telling me that you were with the party when they discovered the Roth patient.
Yes.
Had you been experiencing psionic phenomenon previous to discovering the Emperor?
Perhaps.
I see. Is this a frequent occurrence?
She's looking kind of shifty, like, uh-oh. Maybe this conversation shouldn't be happening to everybody else listening. Not too often, occasionally.
Are these episodes ever precipitated by severe headaches or nightmares or purple haze affecting your vision?
All of the above.
Narita, would you mind terribly if I asked you to come into my office so I could examine you in person?
How many forms will I have to fill out? What kind of insurance do you take?
Given my association with the Maw Keepers, we are a neutral establishment, non-profit organization. I take all insurance, and if money is a hardship, it is not an issue.
Yeah, go ahead and say it. Say it.
I'm sorry. Rekwaraz's just going to scoff at the whole notion.
I treat all patients equally, regardless of circumstances.
That sounds a lot better than my current PCP. I'm happy to come in.
Thank you.
She's gonna hang up. She'll make her way there.
Okay.
She's gonna look at Rekmara and shrug.
So, Narita, as you are making your way to the doctor's office, you might happen to see a glimpse of Fritz, like crossing a corridor. But last you heard, Fritz was on the ship.
Are we having visions and seeing things too?
No, there's no purple haze, just a purple gnome.
Fritz?
You get a wave, and then they continue on their way.
Okay. Where's Fritz going?
Are you going to follow Fritz, or are you going to go to your doctor's appointment? Would you like to send Ted after Fritz and reconvene later?
Yes, for a 7-foot-tall Nautilin and this very, very not subtle little construct who we are not good at following. So I'll just have Ted do it.
Ted sort of puts a fin over one fishy eyeball as if to wink at you, and one of the Wismo mob starts trailing after Fritz.
Oh god, I forgot about the Wisma mob.
The rest of it sort of just kind of follows after Ted in like a sort of amorphous school of fish.
The Wismo King. All right. Well, Nuri will keep going to the doctor's office.
All right. So you arrive at the doctor's office, and she greets you, and then she sort of looks at Rekmara. Would you like to do the honors?
No.
No.
Good.
Okay. So, she begins casting a spell, and Rekmara, you will probably recognize this as detect poison and disease.
I'm diseased.
And she focuses on you, Narita, for a moment, and she gets a very serious look on her face. I'm afraid you are infected with this psionic virus. The same one that was affecting the jump dust pilots.
Explain some things.
It can be treated. Greater Restoration should take care of it.
Is there a catch?
It may affect some of your psionic abilities, but it seems unlikely since many people have such abilities inherent in their being as is.
I would just like to point out that the ingredients to cast a proper Greater Restoration cost about 300 credits. I'm just saying that I could cast this spell, but I would at least require compensation of 1,000 credits to
Send the
bring
bill to the Emperor.
I expected nothing less, Rekmara. Nothing less.
Since he was the one responsible for the incident on Chiron, and he owes us. I'll just bill the Emperor.
Sure. I mean, I could also afford the 300 credits if needed or whatever. I could afford 1,000 credits. I just don't want to. I'll just stay this way forever if it costs that much.
Would you prefer not to be cured? Because that is an option. However, this psionic connection may work. It may not be a one-way connection. You are receiving, but you may also be transmitting.
Oh.
Enjoy your trip to Chiron.
Let's do it.
All right. and she will cast Greater Restoration on you, and you feel, that just that unsettling when you think someone's watching you, that sort of disappears.
Oh. Okay. I think it worked.
Yeah, you still have access to your magic. You can sense that, but there's less of that sense of existential dread, or at least it has diminished.
I'll say it's still there.
Other types of existential dread, but you don't hear that voice whispering in the back of your head.
Okay.
Getting rid of voices is good.
Yeah. So no more weird dreams, no more getting strange instructions that don't make sense.
If it continues, let me know. But it should not be a problem anymore.
Great. Thank you so much.
Narita, if you still want to be scared, I know tons of ghost stories. I mean, I could keep you up all night with them.
Oh, please do entertain us.
I already have to eat Ted's food. That keeps me up plenty.
Doc, so do you think that I just want to make sure, because a lot of things just got brought up, and I want to make sure that I'm kind of clear here.
Yes.
Are we thinking that the Roth might be transmitting this virus somehow, or do we think that the virus, because you also mentioned Chiron and the situation on Chiron, or if that is somewhere we've been, do you think that might have been where Narita picked it up initially?
I can't say for sure. It is possible that it seems highly likely that the Roth was able to detect that psionic wavelength, which which those infected with the virus are operating on. It's the virus itself, however, I don't believe it was Roth in origin. It is similar to some of the things which have been found on Chiron, but I suspect Narita has been carrying it for significantly longer.
Oh, I have for sure. I've been having this happen for years.
Do you think it's possible, because I'm pretty sure Narita was in some contact with the Roth just before maybe we encountered it? Do you think that Narita might have given the Roth the virus?
It seems unlikely, but just to be safe, if it's all right with you, I would like to examine the Roth.
I mean, if you're willing to take the risk, that's I'm okay with it, as long as you're going to be, as long as you take precautions.
Of course, and I can speak to Trimaxian individually as well, but if you would like to warn them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'd be good, if you could take a look at that.
That would also help me to begin researching alternative methods of nourishment or weaning them off of their dependence on psionic energy, or finding ways to regenerate their cellular structure.
Yeah. 'Cause
But
I mean,
again,
yeah.
I can arrange that with Trimaxian.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think honestly, it's just the way that sounds. I'd never thought this is something I never thought I'd hear myself say, but there's a chance if you're able to find some way to deal with this that this could change a lot about just how the Roth in general end up operating. This could mean some pretty big things, just as far as them and their and their isolation from everybody else.
Indeed. I will. I have some connections I can look into to begin my research. But I thank you for the information that you have brought me. If that's all, I believe you're free to go.
Actually, oh, yeah. I think we'd also be interested if there's like some sort of if you think that there are similarities between just sort of the virus and sort of the beings on Chiron, with the energy that they transmit, then I actually am wondering if there's a possible interaction there, because it's just from the sounds of things they could use all the help dealing with Chiron that they could get. And I'd say looking over at Narita.
Indeed.
All right.
If you are planning to go to Chiron and you would like me to accompany you, it's been a while since I've worked in the field, but I've probably kicked more ass than any of you sat on.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, we'll need to talk about that. Thanks, Doc. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You know where to find me.
He's got a girlfriend.
This is like as I'm sort of starting to head out, and I just sort of stop in the doorway, sort of hang my head. And actually, you're probably for a second, you probably see Cole put his hand against the door frame. Mm-hmm. He's just like leaning on it for a second, and if the camera on the other side is sort of seeing him, he's just sort of just like fighting himself right now. It's like, not now.
He's got that anime angry.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to cut.
Perfect.
Just telling everybody's business, aren't you?
I'm trying to deflect from the fact that everyone found out about me here and stuff.
I think Narita has been hanging out with Oceanus too long.
It's rubbing off.
Yeah, thank you, Narita, for inducing a panic attack in front of the station's doctor. I appreciate it.
Things are getting a little too friendly. Hashtag Team Lee.
That's awesome. Very cool. Okay, so yes, this is a shorter episode today, as we're sort of easing back into it. But this was very cool. I wasn't really looking out too much for a favorite moment per se, but I did enjoy pretty much the whole thing today. And just the various interactions. That freaking mug was glorious. That for me just bowled me over. But let's go ahead and go around and if you have people, feel free to tell us where we can find you and any thoughts you had on the session, favorite moments, or what have you. And we shall start once again, as is our wont, with our station master, Alyssa.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching, and thank you all for playing. It's been wonderful to get back into this and to finally see people putting together the connections of all the various threads and storylines that I have sent out into the galaxy. It's all coming together. I am so excited to see what comes next. You can find me at Origami Shuriken on Twitch and Twitter. I do crafting, I do video games, I do plotting for TTRPGs, and this is the only stream I have going on, but I do have a new spin-off game in the works coming in the new year, featuring our good friend Oceanus and perhaps a few other familiar faces. So keep an eye on my Twitter for all my links and my pin tweet and my profile and upcoming announcements.
Yay! Very cool, very cool. I also want to make sure that I once again, we bow our heads in thanks to Jade Nebula for providing our graven images. I also wanted to actually thank Sphinx Roll. Thank you very much, Sphinx. You have been subscribed for a year, and that just amazes me that anyone would do that. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And let us go on to Mem.
Hi, Mem. I forgot what I'm supposed to say. Wait.
Yes. Any final thoughts, or any? Where can folks find you? And any final thoughts about the episode, and any or any favorite moments or what have you?
So mostly you can just find me here. I've kind of vanished from the internet a little bit, but I do have a Twitter that's kind of dead, as well as a Twitch that is also kind of dead. Sorry, real life. Favorite moments tonight. Rekmara doing the insurance work.
So good.
I haven't forgotten the one time that we needed like health potions or whatever, and you're like, they cost. It's like, oh, okay. I made sure to keep my own in stock. But good to be back. Good to see you all.
Yay.
Had a good time.
Yay. Awesome. And now let's head over to May.
Hi, everybody. My name is May. I have a Twitter. Not a lot happens on it. I have a Twitch. Even less happens on that. So my Twitter is all that's needed. And I just have fun here. That's really the highlight of my week. Thank you all.
Any final thoughts about this episode in particular, or are we good?
It's good to be back.
It is good to be back. It's awesome to be back. Let us now also go over to Cazimi.
Hey, I'm Cazimi. I'm here again. Now that we're back, I'm here. I'm otherwise not. So it's nice to exist. It's nice to see everybody again. And I very much appreciated the all the way back to the beginning recap of bullets to give us context for a lot of these threads that have been going on for almost a year now. So thank you so much, Alyssa, for pulling out all of the various pieces that were going on and just getting us all caught up again. So
yeah.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Alyssa works crazy hard on this game. So all available accolades, please funnel in her direction, as it is a glorious thing. But finally, let's go over to Anino.
Hello, everyone. My name's Anino. You can find me on Twitter at Anino Gaming, also on my webpage, aninogaming.com, where I post mostly the Cyberpunk Red stuff that I've been doing as of late, flash fiction, funny clips, and all of that. Let's see what's going on. Speaking of flash fiction, posted a new one today earlier called An Unconventional Push. First of 3 parts, second and third parts will be released tomorrow and Tuesday, and then over to Friday is our next episode of Cyberpunk Red on Simon's channel. It's the Wandering DM. Tune in there at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and then Saturday it's a double header for me over on the Level Up TV channel at 1 p.m. for Scion, also DM'd by Simon. And then I'll leave Jim to talk about our Saturday night stream. But also, yeah, my favorite part, just seeing Cole's relationship trauma just laid out there. In the open.
Yes, he's got a lot he needs to sort out right now. There's much.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that gift is wise to give to someone who is perhaps a functioning alcoholic. But
yeah.
It's great. It's so great.
Any liquid you desire, it's a booze.
Yeah, that's gonna be rough. That's gonna be interesting. It's like,
We're looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
yeah, because sort of, on the one hand, it's a very sweet gift. On the other hand, is she trying to kill me? I don't know.
It's a valid question.
And would I prefer it if she were trying to kill me? That's the other.
It feels about me.
Yeah. So hard to know. But no. He doesn't think that she's trying to kill him, but it's one of those things where the fact that she's not is actually perhaps scarier to him. But in any case, we've got a little bit to unfold with him still before we finish up. But what is happening? Slowly, we are creeping back toward having content on this channel again. I am starting to. I've had a lot of medical stuff going on. I've had a lot of sorting out of stuff going on. There's a lot I've been trying to make sure that I put in place in terms of safety before I actually actively start running streamed games again, which we are actually at a point now that I think we might be. I might be okay to do it again at this point. I've been doing some stuff with running through putting together new processes and what have you that I'm going to be implementing, and that's none of that's anything that anyone out on the audience needs to worry about at this point. This is all internal stuff, but it's basically I think we're about at least for now where we need to be. In terms of being able to, at least me feeling comfortable starting it up again. So that means that there will be signups for things soon. It's still I'm gonna roll it out slowly. It took me a long time to wind it down. It's gonna take me a long time to wind it back up. So there's that. Plus there's the fact that I'm going to be looking for doing other things that I need to get done in life, apparently, and not neglect those life things, which is sometimes a struggle when one is when one puts all of one's attention towards streaming, as I did for quite a while. There will be more coming, but it will be hopefully balanced. That is what we hope for. At least balanced for me. But in the meantime, what do we have going on? So on randomly, some point soon, hopefully I'll be getting back to playing video games. I've been most recently, I think I was a little while, and this was even I think in October, I did some Stardew Valley on here, and that was it. But I'm probably going to get back to Frostpunk, I think, pretty soon, because we need to finish it out. But then also, and the video games had happen at random times, but on Saturday, I'm going to be over on Prax's channel, Praxagora Thesmophoria, where we will be having Saturday night our finale of the regiment, which is an historical campaign set during the Napoleonic era, and it has been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of we've had a lot of various scandalous things happen, and a lot of assassination attempts. So many assassination attempts at this point. We are brimming with assassins. and indeed Jacobites apparently, who have decided they want to try to deal with us and sort of remove us our English presence from Spain at the moment, as we attempt to retake it from the French.
I don't know why that they want to kick us out. I've always felt that the English people have been welcomed everywhere
I know.
throughout history.
With open arms.
It's like the sun never sets on them.
Yeah, I know, right? I that was a very terrible thing.
It was terrible, but that's okay. That's all right. It's understandable. I'm just having flashbacks to this clip that we made from the Tremulous campaign, where there was a similar thing said about Americans, as I recall. Solving other people's problems 24/7. Dear Lord. So now, having confirmed that we are terrible people, I can also say that 1 week from today, once again, we shall resume our Dark Matter campaign as we continue in the afternoons at a new time on Sunday afternoons, as we are moving towards the conclusion of this story, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait for it. But in any case, when we hit the end card, I'm going to send a raid. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and send a raid over to. Let's raid LFM Network. They are doing Dark Sun, which is a thing of which I am fond. So we're going to go over there and say hi. Feel free, if you are so inclined, to hang on and say hi to them with us. That again shall be when we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Farewell.